When planning began for the 2006 Canadian Public Relations Society National Conference in Niagara Falls, Ontario, the easiest decision was inviting Lou Cahill to serve as honorary chair. Founder of Niagara Editorial Bureau, which later became Ontario Editorial Bureau and today OEB International, Lou Cahill began his communications career as a freelance sports writer at the age of 16 at this newspaper, the St. Catharines Standard. Lou landed his first real PR job in 1934. It was a summer assignment with Lee Trenholm, a New York City PR practitioner who was organizing something called the International Friendship Festival at Old Fort Niagara in nearby Youngstown, New York. Lee was so impressed with Lou's work after a couple of months that he offered Lou a job in New York City. Lou's first major PR assignment came in 1939 when the British royal family visited Canada, and specifically included Niagara on their itinerary.
And initially, the planning for that tour included the train stopping in St. Catharines for a half hour to meet the elected dignitaries here, and then get back on the train and go to Niagara Falls, where there was a much larger celebration. And it was at that point that I said to the mayor and the others here in St. Catharines, why should you only have a half an hour in St. Catharines and have them get on the train again to go to Niagara Falls on the train, which was certainly not a scenic route. And I prevailed upon them to ask Ottawa to change the route to an automobile tour from St. Catharines to Niagara Falls, which the mayor and the police chief and others thought they'd never do because they already had the one route approved. But they did change it, and that was an opportunity for the King and Queen to drive through St. Catharines, along the lake shore, along the Niagara Parkway, and into Niagara Falls, which was certainly a highlight, and saw that part of Niagara in June, which was really colorful with flowers and blossom time and all that sort of. So that was another participation in what I would today call public relations planning and services. After the naming of the highway, which took place in '39 when the Queen broke an electric barrier at Niagara Street, unveiled a plaque at Ontario Street naming the highway as the Queen Elizabeth Way. Subsequently, in '41 or '42, we handled the official opening of the Queen Elizabeth Way.
Shortly after the royal visit, Lou and the editorial bureau did work for the federal government, promoting victory bonds. After the war, it was Canada Savings Bonds. In all, the bureau represented the Bank of Canada for more than 40 years. It also represented Ontario Paper Company for 50 years, a record for client longevity in Canada. Around 1950, Lou and other colleagues across the country began to establish a cross-Canada public relations network.
In 1950, I had the privilege and pleasure of meeting Leonard Knott, who was really one of the public relations pioneers in Canada and was one of the early founders of the Canadian Public Relations Society. And together we developed the first network of public relations people called Inside Canada Public Relations, with offices from Vancouver to Halifax, which enabled us to provide national services and counsel when required. And it was through this relationship that I got to know John Fisher, who was known as Mr. Canada, and became a long personal associate and friend, and was one of the founding consultants of Inside Canada National Organization.
Other needs for PR services soon arose in Canada's marine industry when Port Weller Dry Docks was created.
About that time, we were retained by the Port Weller Dry Docks, which had been formed by Charles Ansell, who had operated the Port Louis shipyard. And he was able to get the former dry dock that the Canadian government had built when they were building the canal and developed the first major shipyard along the Great Lakes. And Charlie and I was there the first day he took over that yard, and we've had the privilege of continuing to work for Port Weller Dry Docks ever since. And we're doing work for them today, and we've seen all the growth and problems of shipbuilding on the Great Lakes and the marine industry in Canada. But so that part has been very interesting and very exciting personally. And I always felt that I had a particular connection because my grandfather operated a ship on the Great Lakes in the 1860s and 1870s. And that's why he moved to St. Catharines from Kingston, where he had settled when he came out from Ireland.
Others to benefit from OEB's services included the Dominion Marine Association, the St. Lawrence Seaway Authority, shipping companies, and the Welland Canal. The importance of shipping was prominent in Lou's mind, and his zeal was reflected in first-rate work for his clients. Engineering interests were not confined to the marine industry. In fact, it was Lou and OEB who helped create the designation for professional engineers in Ontario.
One of the objectives of that effort was to get professional engineers better known and appreciated for their contribution to Canada's development. And we had one of the objectives there was to establish PENG, P.E.N.G., the abbreviation, which at that time compared with MD and the CA for Chartered Accountants. PENG today, you've seen announcements in the papers and things that PENG is always behind it. Well, that was our effort to get that established, which we did in the 1950s. And we acted for the APEO, the association, for 20 years.
All of this is really just the early days in a nutshell. Lou was involved in numerous Canadian communication first live TV broadcast within Canada, for example. It was WBEN Buffalo that, with Lou's help, did the first TV broadcast from Niagara Falls, Ontario on September 12, 1948. This predated CBC television by 3 years. Lou has always been a strong advocate of PR education, and Brock University in St. Catharines bestowed upon Lou an honorary doctorate. Lou was also influential in helping St. Catharines Roman Catholic Diocese with its communications planning. He was awarded a papal medal by the late Pope John Paul II. Other honors include one bestowed last year by the Welland Canal Foundation. Lou's influence on the PR business is legendary, so we'll leave the last words of this brief profile to some of those who benefited from his mentoring.
Lou is one of those rare individuals you meet infrequently in life. In the PR profession, Lou's just top drawer. He always taught us as consultants and people in the profession that you never go wrong by doing the right thing. Lou always implored us to be candid with our clients and to help our clients, whether they were corporate or associations or people engaged in not-for-profit activities, to do the right thing and to say the right thing and to help link head office with the public interest. You never go wrong by doing that.
Because he one time made the observation, you know, there are only a few things in life that really work. And he says as long as you stick with those, you can do other things. But as long as you do the basic things, you'll always be safe and do the right job for your client. And of course he was right. A lot of the things that I do today, I can hear his words saying to me, well, here's what we got to be doing. Here's what you should be doing. He always had good advice.
If there's one thing that stands out in my mind and has always stood out in my mind when it comes to Lou, it's how he cares. He cares about people, he cares about families, he cares about the community, and it's sincere and it's real, and you know, a moment doesn't go by when he doesn't ask how someone's doing or how things are working out in the community and what the issues are. Yes, I am a graduate of the School of Lou, and the School of Lou has some really tough rules. Always be honest, always think about the impact of what you're doing, and always stay behind the scenes, because behind the scenes in public relations is where you've got your greatest outreach, your greatest ability to do what you have to do.
Lou's been in the business for such a long period of time that I think he's been able to hone his instincts, but he's very intuitive, and I think that's something that's probably come that he's had all his life. And being able to understand those instincts and being able to understand people really is one of the things that really makes Lou really good at what he does. He's certainly taught me one of his great lessons, which is your job is to move the pieces around. Basically, a great PR practitioner recognizes all of the different players that are required to get a job done, and what each of them need to get to where you want to go, and figures out how to move those pieces around to get to where you want to go. And that's really the thing that makes Lou a great PR practitioner.